us. So I was invited a couple weeks ago when I was at Evolve to talk about what we're hearing in this space. And these were some of the questions that in particular, the room I was presenting to wanted to hear about. What are the best components? So I asked the room, what are the best components of your QBR process? And they were asking us, so Nick and I were both there, what are you seeing as the evolution of the market? Where is it going? And then I asked them, how do you evaluate your QBR process, your customer success teams and activities, and if they had any set KPIs for customer success managers, account managers, and VCIOs. And we talked through the data we had in the platform and are building toward as part of the conversation. So this led into a conversation around curve jumping, which I want to explain, because we look at the direction of Lifecycle Insights and the roadmap helping with the notion of curve jumping. So I'm going to talk through those pieces and parts. So let me explain the theory of curve jumping first, and then we will talk about what that means in terms of our product roadmap. So if you don't follow me on LinkedIn, first, let me just put my profile in the chat. If you don't follow me on LinkedIn, where I, talk about things like, does your squirrel know calculus and how to jump curves, would love to have you join me along there. So feel free to grab that if you would like. The next piece is, so this week I talked about curve jumping. So here's the visual for it. Curve jumping was invented by basically a market futurist, a business futurist in Ireland several decades ago. And it was about how businesses run along the same model. So you can see along the first curve, there's growth along for a period of time. And then while you're growing, you will get to a point where you plateau with some new process, product, et cetera. And it will start to plateau and then even decline. And for businesses to be successful, the best businesses will jump curves while things are still good. So before they start going downhill, if you can catch on to the next wave and jump the curve, that can help drive your business forward. So we had a conversation around curve jumping as it related to MSPs, specifically on the customer-facing human side of the house. An example of curve jumping that worked would be the refrigeration company that started out by delivering ice cubes to people, ice blocks. And then it moved up to an ice block company, right? Where they had ice boxes that would hold ice, that would keep your things cool. And now that's a refrigeration company, right? So they curve jumped as technology changed over time. Company that did not curve jump, Blockbuster, right? They had the opportunity to purchase Netflix, but they didn't believe that people were going to end up wanting to stream videos, et cetera. And I'm confident none of us has stopped by Blockbuster on this Friday, as we all used to do, to pick up our VHS for the weekend, right? So that definitely ages me, and anybody that just nodded their head, you're busted as well. We know how Blockbuster came into the world. So we were talking about, and one of the reasons we were talking about this at Evolve is that this is one of the kind of business theories that they look at in helping MSPs deliver, best practices, et cetera. And actually, I spoke to the gentleman, Peter Kajawa, who runs the SLEEK. So that's the Service Leader Index Quotient program for Evolve. And on June 23rd, he's going to come join us because they do a lot of industry benchmarking. And I know a lot of our partners ask us about industry benchmarking, particularly around QBRs. And I will just give you this one little tidbit because he's going to share the rest of the numbers then. And that is that folks that do regular business reviews for their partners have they're 13% more profitable. So they have 13 more points on their EBITDA number than MSPs that don't regularly do business reviews. So business reviews not only drive additional top line numbers, so industry coaches say 30-ish% is what you can kind of expect year over year growth with business reviews. And then to also increase profitability at the bottom line, I think is also important. And he is definitely the expert on that. So we will let him talk to that. So let's jump into what curve jumping looks like sort of from the perspective of Lifecycle Insights. As I go through this, one of the things that we have worked with ScalePad on and that we're looking at is each of these boxes is where we are looking at where we want to add product enhancements and roadmap items. So some of you will say, yes, I know all of these next 5 slides that she's going to say because you're already doing that work. My question for you will be, is there anything that associates to a particular box where you're interested in an enhancement request that would level you up to be able to do that box faster? Like I said, I went through 1,000 different enhancement requests this week, and I'm going to give a form survey after I go through this of the top 10 things that I saw, and I'm going to talk through them. But we're never offended to take notes and extra documents on what other things that we may have missed along the way. So you can put notes into chat if you say like, ooh, would love to see this. We have lots of folks on the call that can document that for us. And then I'll also have a form afterwards. If you think, and I know some of you will, you want to just enter a support ticket with a lot of those pieces, just support at, and you can start taking notes while you're on the call. We'll take all of them. So VCIO, our product has grown as the QBR process would grow as well. So if you're brand new, what is the very first thing you do when you get your QBR process going? It's asset lifecycle management and risk identification, so you can assess your client's environment. That's kind of table stakes at this point, right? Gone are the days we're going to talk about how many patches we've patched, how many spams we've anti-spammed, how many viruses we've antivirus. Next up, to become strategic, total cost of ownership budget, recommendations, and really focusing on business outcomes for your clients instead of just technology. I read somebody on LinkedIn said today, nobody cares about your technology. Nobody cares about your solution. They care about their problems. So if we can make the technology solve their problems, that is what's going to drive the conversation. Next up is to be able to automate and enhance and mature your process. So this is where we have all of our additional integrations, Microsoft 365, SaaS monitoring, ticketing, security assessment training, etc. I'm going to pause here for a second to say, one, I assume we all know GDAP's going away May 22nd, right? And it's going away July 1 for the Microsoft integration. So sorry, DAP is going away and GDAP will be the new way of the world. Just this morning, we went over the documentation of what you will need to do in Lifecycle to move over to the new GDAP way of the world. So they are in QA now, testing it, etc. So one day next week, you will get an email and a notification about the new steps you'll need to take. Yes, it will be 2 button clicks for each of your clients. It's just like you've done, if you're a Pax8 member or LineGuard member, we know that you've already done those steps there as well. So somebody had reached out on social just today and asked if we were where we were in working with GDAP. So we will have a solution out the door next week. Any questions on that before I move on? Yes, 365 licenses will come back. And Mark, I'm going to ask if you'll cut and paste like Kirk's. Oh, I've got it, Kirk. Never mind. I was like, wait, that's a direct message to me. I'll get it. Thank you. The other piece is one of the roadmap items that we're aiming for Q2 is a Crewwho integration for CSAT. So those have been on the list. So while I'm on this box, I wanted to mention it. Next up, the ability to create tickets, the opportunities, scheduler, and notes. So we just launched the ability, what was that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, to create an opportunity or link to an opportunity in ConnectWise. These types of things help increase operational efficiencies, of course. So next up in terms of roadmap here is feature parity. So we know we need feature parity around contracts, ticketing, and opportunities for Autotask, Halo, Synchro, right? So we know those pieces are coming. We want to make sure we get to that. And then scoring the QBR itself, right? So at the top of the QBR process is to determine if your QBRs are in fact being effective. And so we launched Insights, which is in the customer success module, and the ability to score your business review along the way. So that gets you through, right? If we do all of these things, and we've certainly got functionality all the way along the way, and you do all of these things, then the QBR process matures, right? And we can be able to start driving that EBITDA that Peter Kajawa mentions. So next up to curve jump, right? If we just stagnate there, then we know something else is going to come along. And if we don't jump to that next curve, then that becomes a threat to the business, right? So leveling up from just doing business reviews is customer success. And that's really looking at how we know who's happy, healthy, identifying potential churn, and really finding referral partners along the way. So some of you have seen this before, but this is just, I will say, a little street cred. So Nick and I, one of the other co-founders and I, set up customer success in a spreadsheet when we worked at a large ed tech company. And this is actually the wrinkled piece of paper that I keep in my office to remind me of the process of what we used to do, right? We used to look at how the client felt in terms of sales, product support, engineering, and success. And we scored them red, yellow, green based on the rubric that you've seen here, so that every week the customer success managers would report out on why someone had gone red or yellow or where there were threats to the company. So that's the notion of customer success, is really looking to determine if your customers are happy, healthy along the way. I've shared this book before. So this is the customer success. I'll try to remember, I'll try to put the title of it in the email. The Customer Success Professionals Handbook. Sorry, I had to squint to see the title. States this, that as you're leveling up your customer success program, these are the steps that make sense. Start with QBRs, they call them EBRs for executive business reviews, as the foundation, right? Ensure, and we have talked about this with our Insights module, that the executives are involved. If you're doing business reviews and you're not getting the decision makers at the table, you need to set that as your next expectation, because you won't be able to break to other levels if you're not bringing the small business owners with you. And then, of course, end user engagement. Level that up to adoption improvements. So that's stack alignment, health score changes. And then they say customer success qualified advocacy, which I think is a lot of letters and an unnecessary acronym when we could just say referrals, right? Are we getting referral partners from our happy clients? And then lastly, right, again, leveling up. Are you tracking toward gross retention rate of your clients, net retention rate, and verifying outcomes? Can you show them that the work you're doing for them is actually delivering their business outcomes, tracking to their goals? Again, what we're looking at in the customer success module. Here are, some of you watched the 3 episodes that Alex and Kyle Christensen did around KPIs for account managers, customer success managers, and VCIOs. I retyped it here, so if anybody just wants to steal the screenshot, these were some of the ideas that they suggested, right? For, again, leveling up your process to deliver KPIs to the customer-facing side of the house. So how can we get some of that data and level up? In the customer success platform, one of the things that we're aiming to do in customer success as far as the roadmap, yes, Dusty, I will grab the links for that. Mark, could you jump into YouTube and grab all 3 of them if you can? Yes, you're welcome.
Well,
So one of the things we're aiming to do on the customer success side of the house, all the way up this tiering, is to automate more and more of the pieces. So feel free to type in the chat what components, integrations, metrics that fit into these buckets that you would like to see us add in terms of customer success and automation. But segmenting your customer, know when and what to deliver to each of your customers, right? Who are your quarterly, monthly, annual, semi-annual business reviews? Customer health. Right now, the automation piece of customer health is Smileback CSAT scores. We're getting, again, I mentioned CrewWho. Simple Sat will be next after that. We have a whole list. Jeff does a very good job of plus oneing when you put in votes for who your CSAT tool is along the way. But there are other metrics around customer health, some of which should be manual, but maybe there are some that are automated. So if you have any of those, as Brian's doing, put in the chat. That would be perfect. Thank you, Brian. Stack alignment. We have a great deal of interest in automating components around stack alignment, and some of you have already volunteered to kind of be a guinea pig for how we could do that. And stack alignment, of course, levels up your ability to sell because of the identifying the expansion and upsell opportunities. Goals. This is where you can become that unicorn, right? The strategic trusted advisor. We always talk a lot about how to have a conversation about business outcomes and not just technology. One of the things that we're working on in the goals piece is to be able, right now you can associate tasks, contracts, and recommendations to a business goal, but we're going to create a dashboard that will give you kind of some graphic, some visuals on tracking that progress. So we are 30% toward your goal. We are 45%. So you can show that growth time over time, which a lot of folks have asked for. And then top level there is really driving the KPIs and metrics for the customer success organization, or human, or partial human, right? If for smaller shops where customer success is part of somebody else's responsibility. So that's how we'll use those metrics to help drive operational maturity in the customer success department. So I can see a couple of, and I'm taking notes on those as well, on what other components we might want to automate into customer success. Anybody have any comments on those pieces? Brian, I'm curious, you said measuring recurring issues. Do you have a way to automate that, or would that just be manual because you would know, because you would flag the customer yourself with like they have repeated issues?
So I guess if you want to relate to a framework, it's ITIL, right? An incident comes in, you have enough incidents, all of a sudden it turns into a problem. For us, we actually have on every ticket form, we ask the end user, is this a repeat issue? So we also track that as a metric where we can do reports on that as well to help try to identify incidents that haven't been created as problem tickets yet. I find that's something that if you're, when you're in the day-to-day mix, you may not always have your eye on that. And that could be something affecting client health, where they're just sick of dealing with repeat issues over and over, and no one's put a proper eye on it.
So I'm curious, do other folks have that notion of identifying a repeat issue, or would it be manual? Feel free to put in the chat if you have that. If not, I'll assume manual. Tickets, okay. Dusty's got.
Reopen ticket rate would be an example of maybe an issue that you thought was resolved. I'm glad you pointed that out.
All of ours gets reopened just because folks send in a thank you, but that's probably not what you mean. We'd have to eliminate the last reopen. That is a thank you. Okay, you have a checkbox. Okay, thank you.
Marnie, I'd put underneath that initial from Brian, even if it started as simple as, I've been identifying our loud talkers, right? Who are the users or our computers that are, our devices that are causing the most trouble tickets to get the account management team somewhere to start from.
Yep.
And I mean, let's talk about billing, right? If the client's having billing issues every single month, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
repeat issue affecting the health that, so that may not be tracked the same way.
Yep.
We are moving all of our billing support into tickets so we can start tracking it better. But that would be something that I would be concerned about as well.
Yeah, and billing, of course, is always different and causes high levels of anxiety, right? So, and we're gonna fist fight about a bill one way or the other. That's never gonna go well. So just for the folks that are listening, I've got one. I'm struggling creating that combined report that has both the business strategies with recommendations. Some of those business strategies are zero cost, so finding the combined timelines becomes a problem. So what's interesting about that is one of the pieces that we are we've got on the voting board is the notion of an agenda builder where you could flag different items that you wanted to talk about in a business review, and we would see their business goals as one of the pieces that you could drag over to flag. So it wouldn't necessarily have to align to a specific recommendation, but you could still align it in the overall agenda. Because if it's a problem that they want to talk about, right, it's probably worth bringing up, even if there's zero cost. We tag tickets with notes on workflow, like abandoned, no response, and reopened. Okay, so it's not a check button, but it's still easy to find along the way. All right. So after we've curve jumped through customer success, then the next curve to jump is that management oversight of insights, right? So that you can look at a high level dashboard of red, yellow, green. Who are my happy, healthy clients? Where are we most successful? Are our lawyers happier than our dentists, right? Are we driving new growth in the manufacturing industry, et cetera? Are my account managers in a certain region more successful? Those types of questions is really what we're starting to drive toward in insights. Here are some of the questions that we would like to be able to help answer with the roadmap moving forward, right? We just released insights 2 weeks ago. So that is how you can score your business review and start aligning this business review. I presented X number of recommendations, right? And this many were accepted and this many were declined. So to be able to track progress around business reviews over time is where we're aiming for. For anyone driving that should not be looking at their phone, some of the questions in terms of leadership insights that we're looking at are, how can I make better personnel decisions, right? Do I have someone that's really good with one type of account and they're all growing, and then all of their, dental offices are failing because health-wise, because that like personality-wise doesn't work, et cetera. What's AI predicting from my data? Who are my top performers? Where are my biggest risks? What's my ROI? What's my client's ROI? What trends are we seeing? Where are my biggest opportunities, right? And stack alignment. How can I manage by exception? And in what vertical should I invest marketing dollars? So there are always additional questions that we can answer, but this is the first, we've put a lot of plumbing in place for data to be used to be able to answer these questions. Okay, so from here, I want to jump to our feedback form. So I'm going to put a link in the chat for those of you listening at home. I'm including it in the email because I'd like to talk through some of the enhancement features that you can vote on. Now, I'd like you to just vote for 3, because if you vote for all of them, then we're just going to say, yes, these are all still priorities. So not super impactful in helping us actually go through which of the, which are really top priorities for. So I'm going to talk through the ones on this board. Again, I went through 1,000 of these, and these were the ones we're seeing over and over again, and have had conversations around. Would love again for you to click in that. Can somebody confirm that you can actually click in that and vote?
Confirm.
Okay, thank you. So tech debt history tracking. We have tech debt, right? So we know how many assets are coming end of life and are at end of life. We have a data point around that. Folks have asked us to track that over time so that you should see, as you have more business reviews and projects completed, your tech debt should go down. So a quick graph will say if you're improving the technology health of your clients along tech debt. So that is what tech debt history tracking is. I mentioned the feature parity already. So this is contracts, tickets, and opportunities across all PSAs. The agenda builder. The notion of the agenda builder is for you to be at any asset, assessment item, recommendation, goal in the platform and say, I want to add this to the agenda. That would automatically put a component into report builder. So it would just neatly format an agenda that you could then drag and drop and move things around. But it would basically, as you're working with your client through the quarter, you could start adding pieces. I wanted to talk to him about this. I wanted to talk to him about that, etc. So that it's all there. So when you get to the day when you're building your business review, you could say, all right, well, these are all the things I thought I wanted to talk to him about. Maybe 4 of them have resolved themselves, but a faster way, so you don't have to cut and paste and go retype things into report builder. Next up, backup integrations. So of course, as a ScalePad company, we're well aware that Backup Radar is now a brother or sister. I'm not sure how you see technology along the way, but a sibling to us. And backup integration so that we could do backup reporting in the platform is one of our most requested integration types. So when we say backup integrations, it would be with Backup Radar, Datto, backups, etc. That's what that one's all about. Mark, can you repaste that link? I know we just let someone else in the room that will definitely want to vote on enhancement requests. So if you could share that link so they can access it, that'd be great. Workflow enhancements. So we have quite a few tickets around in scheduler wanting to be able to kick off an invite, like a booking link to say, I'd like to auto schedule my business, my business review with you, or some workflow processes, automate email notifications. I would like to be able to auto send an assessment, that type of thing. So those are the types of workflow enhancement requests that we're getting. So if you want to vote for that. Notes, this is to be anywhere in the platform, to be able to take a note about something and have it feed into one place so that all of the notes were time stamped. You could see when they happened. You could do follow-ups. Again, you could drag them around. Right now, we only have them in the scheduler or right in the business review page. But if you were working in health, you might want to take a note on a health score of why it dropped. So we would want to be able to allow you to take that note there and then also have it in a whole running log of when things have happened. So you'd have it on the pages as well as in one place. Ticket reporting enhancements. So we have a lot of requests around ticket reporting. The most popular one is to be able to have more filtering on our current ticket report. So instead of just saying the last 3 months, I actually want to say from June 12th to August 15th, because that's the last time I talked to them, so that you could arrange those pieces. So there are, of course, other ticketing questions. I was going to say ticketing is one of the most popular ones, and then I get a hand up. So Brian, what is yours around ticketing?
We make use of a lot of UDFs to help measure different things with tickets. So if we're going to enhance tickets, it'd be nice to be able to bring light to certain UDFs if possible.
So this is how far I've come in 4 years. I know you mean user-defined fields, so thank you. So that is one of the other requests is folks want more attributes to show up in the reporting around tickets. Also, in that both tickets and recommendations, folks want the ability to kind of manage columns so that you could pick new other things to be able to report on or hide other components. And there's, the other piece around ticketing is to create a single report in Lifecycle that will show you all of the tickets that you've opened from inside of Lifecycle, regardless of where you opened it. So I opened tickets on the notes page. I opened it under an assessment, and it would say ticket here, the status, where you opened it, and any notes you might have along the way, so that you could see all your tickets in one place. And then similarly, a high level report. Which brings me to my next one, which is consolidated reporting. Consolidated reporting is, I have a client that just acquired another one of my clients, and I've got two different, companies in Lifecycle Insights, but I want to aggregate their reporting. So it's the notion of parent-child relationships. Curious how many of you have that as a use case that you're interested in reporting around. Sorry, reading the chat. So I'm not surprised. So the comments in the chat have more than one that is my super most important, highest priority. So it's a hard survey to take. I feel you on that, but I appreciate I can see several of you have already submitted. So Wes, yeah, as Peter mentioned, we're working on the roadmap of how we're going to integrate the two products. So when we have that integration conversation, we will definitely share with you on that one. Okay, good. So that's somebody that has a lot of parent-child pieces. And then the last one on benchmarking. So this really looks at across all of your clients and then across all of our client base. So we've had two different requests here. One is, I would like to be able to show my clients where they rank compared to my other clients in terms of their risk assessment score. So like our analytics across all customers report, where you've got all of your clients, but hide their names, right? So I could just say, all right, Brian, your company here is third on my list of 12. Or Brian, you're 25th out of 26 clients in terms of risk. That means like you are the riskiest of my clients. We should probably talk about this. So folks are asking for benchmarking. The most popular one was to see Microsoft Secure Score across all of your clients at once, to be able to look internally as well as potentially mask their names so that you could share externally, like, why are you the last people on the planet that haven't let us turn on MFA? So that's what the benchmarking component there means, as well as the ability to then pull across all customers and say, okay, the average, the trick here is everybody's risk assessment isn't exactly the same. So it wouldn't be fair for me to compare Jeff's clients' risk assessment scores with Brian's, because they wouldn't be identical. But there is some, if we had assessment items or Microsoft Secure Score, which could be one, where we've got data across all clients, a comparison there. So that's what the benchmarking looks like. And then, so questions about any of those, because I can see as soon as I kind of got to the bottom of that, more people submitted their votes. Questions on any of them or commentary? Does anybody want to jockey for position and try to win over some votes of other folks? Which totally fair. This is a very democratic process we have going on here. Just silently accept whatever the outcome may be, huh? Then of course we ask, like, wild card, got something else on your mind? We'll be happy to come back and share them and get some new votes. And we would really love to hear your favorite feature. What do you think is driving the most value for you? And again, you can enter your email if you want. Some folks like to share so we can follow up, and other folks would rather remain anonymous, and we're good either way.
wanted to remind everybody that there's only 20 minutes left. So since this is a democratic process, if you're trying to do a filibuster, you only have 15 to about 18 minutes. Just
I'm wondering how many times they're logging in with different emails to vote multiple times. And now there are people control adding new tabs as we speak. All right, as we like to say, any comments, questions, complaints, or criticisms? No, no negative campaign ads in this. That is not how Lifecycle Insights rolls. We are a positive only company. So these are not all of the enhancement requests by Jeff, I'm sure is like, yeah, no kidding. I look through these all day, every day. But these were the ones that we were hearing most often. Brian.
Yeah, I'm becoming a lifecycle manager, customer as well as Backup Radar,
Cheers.
and I'm new to the
Triple
products. But what's that?
I said cheers, and then I said triple cheers. So.
Oh yeah. So what I'm finding, just kind of scratching the surface, is there are kind of some duplicate effort items, but there are, pros that each product has. And I'm wondering, I'd love to be part of future discussions around being able to surface data, say in Lifecycle Insights, that we can pull from Lifecycle Manager, mainly around how it reports on things. I'm sure that I'm going to find things in Backup Radar. You're already talking about that.
Well, and Lifecycle Manager has been the talk all along, right?
Yeah.
With the Backup Radar was just kind of in addition, and Lifecycle Manager is the one that we need to figure out, because we acknowledge like the Lifecycle Manager reporting is lovely and has more detail around it. So how can we add those pieces in?
Yeah, love that.
So as you find, right, as you dig in, as you will, right, put in like, oh, this is specifically what we like, because that certainly helps us build the use case. I'm glad you didn't ask me a technical question, because I'd have to get one of the OG scale patterns on the call to answer it for me. But maybe now they're all a little nervous. Other questions or thoughts? All right, so
I'll throw one more out there.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'll throw one more out there. We haven't had a need yet, but moving up market, we are going to find more and more of this need is GRC, which obviously we have Control Map now with ScalePad.
Yes.
So I'm sure we want to also look at figuring out how we can introduce Control Map potentially, into Lifecycle Insights. The idea is, as we're presenting with clients and working with clients, I don't want to have to jump around to different portals to be showing them data.
That's why we exist, right?
Yeah,
'Cause we're trying to get it all in one place, for sure.
Yeah.
Dark mode is on the list, Dusty, just so you know. I laugh because one of our developers always chimes in on dark mode. So refresher, what did I say about GDAP? Anybody remember? This is the real teacher in me going like, all right, let's pull it back up. She said at the beginning of the call, what are we going to have to do as DAP goes away and GDAP comes on board? This is critically important, and it's going to save Jeff thousands of tickets if we can remember. Yes, it's the Microsoft 365 stuff. There will be 2 button clicks per client, right? So you're going to have to go in. You will get an email. There'll be a notification in the platform and documentation. But for each client, you will have to go make a couple button clicks in order to pull the data over. We test ran it actually with a partner who was on this call, and they were able to get that, successfully to work through it. So we're hoping it works for everybody else too. So when that comes out, please make sure to hop on that. May 22nd is the date that sort of GDAP is mandated. And I think DAP goes away July 1, if I have my dates right. So you, Joe and Alex, you win points for the day. You passed your exit ticket. So well done. Thank you for remembering. Anything that we can help with today?
So Marnie, I noticed some changes to the login screen. I'm assuming integrations with the ScalePad infrastructure. Is there anything we're going to need to know about
So what you'll be seeing is that if you are a ScalePad partner, there will be a login with ScalePad button along the way. We shouldn't be breaking other stuff, but technology. So there shouldn't be anything new for a while. Right now, they're just moving partners that are both already ScalePad partners and already Lifecycle partners into one consolidated billing. So they'll be the first to move, and we will let everybody else know when we're ready to ship everybody over, but that'll be a while. So nothing new, but I'm glad you noticed.
Will we be able to merge accounts or
Yes.
logins, I should say, if we have one to
Yes.
both? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's that is in various stages of technology that I couldn't pinpoint all of the nits to that, but that is what they're working on now actively. So the PDMs are reaching out and kind of helping people get where they need to be.
It ended up not being an issue, but just as an FYI, whatever login I had saved in my I guess automatic Chrome pop-up was different, and I couldn't log in. But then if I just went to your Lifecycle site today and clicked login, I was able to log in there. So just FYI in case anybody else brings it up.
I will mention it to see if there's something they can do, like to force a clearing out or whatever's going on there. I can't pretend like I would know the problem. Matt, since I know I let you in after I said that, and I know that you and I have talked about this before, on June 23rd. So this for folks that came in late. On June 23rd, we have Peter Kajawa, who's coming from Sleek, which is the service leadership group out of ConnectWise. They're going to come and present some benchmarking numbers across the industry as it relates to profitability, as it relates specifically to QBRs, and as it relates to compensation in MSPs and what the best in class MSPs, how they're doing compensation. So I know that you and I have talked about benchmarking before, and anybody else that joined after I mentioned that, I think I would put June 23rd down as one of these to not miss. All right, anything else on this fabulous Friday? Excellent. Well, as always, thanks for joining, and we shall see you all next week. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Marty. This is great.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty. Appreciate it.